fans of high quality entertainment. If today is April 23rd, 2022, lucky you. I'm doing a live chat today at 4 p.m. with Glenn Kellaway from the basement and Robert's on my turntable and maybe another guest or two. This is a contest being held by the channel Two Legs, a Paul McCartney podcast, so I'll have the link in the pinned comment and in the description below. Check it out. There's a giveaway, so you'll have to go to their video and watch it and hopefully participate. As long as I win, I'm happy. Thank you. And they want us to choose one Paul McCartney / Wings album per decade that is our favorites. So from the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, 2010s, which also includes, of course, McCartney 3 from the 2020s. So my choice for the 70s, I also am going to have a runner-up, because I like making my own rules. My runner-up would be, so many great albums in the 70s, Band on the Run, of course. But my runner-up would be Red Rose Speedway, because I was never a big fan of the album until the archive collection came out. I bought the, was it 2-disc or 3-disc of Red Rose Speedway? And I finally really listened to it, and I loved it, so I ended up buying the box set. So that is definitely my runner-up. But I would have to say, out of all of the great Paul McCartney albums in the 70s, Ram is my choice as my favorite. Now we go into the 80s, and that is definitely my least favorite decade for Paul McCartney because it wasn't much to choose from. The runner-up, which I think is most people's number one, is Tug of War, but that's my runner-up. And my favorite, and once again it's because of the archive collection, maybe the remastering sometimes helps too, but back in 1980 when I bought this, I just thought it was okay. The highlight for me was, of course, Paul McCartney impersonating Ron Mael of Sparks in the Coming Up video. But it now is my favorite Paul McCartney album from the 80s, 1980. I really, really think this is underrated. So for me, being a Paul McCartney fan, I gave up on him. I really enjoyed Tug of War, but I never bought Pipes of Peace, from seeing the video Say, and it was just not my thing, man. I was on to like U2 and other bands, and was kind of leaving the solo Beatles behind, sadly. But I'll get into that story in a minute, but I'm sure most of you have heard it anyway. So for the 1990s, I had never heard, Flaming Pie. I don't know if I have it here to show you. Yeah, but Flaming Pie I think would be most people's pick. And it is. It's pretty even with the one I've chosen. But I think I'm kind of doing this also because I think it's underrated and it needs to be talked about more. And I never heard it when it came out. Like I said, I gave up on Paul McCartney from the last album I bought was Tug of War, which I liked. And I never bought another Paul McCartney album. Kind of just ignored him for years and years and years until Memory Almost Full. And then I became a fan again and I started going back and I have an appreciation for Off the Ground. It is much better than I was thinking it would be. And I'm sure hopefully someday it becomes part of the archive collection and it's remastered and everything, but I think it's an excellent album. So that's the 1990s with Flaming Pie right up there too. So for the 2000s, like I said, Memory Almost Full is what brought me back into being a Paul McCartney fan and all of his later albums, but I also went back in time. My least favorite would be Yeah, Pipes of Peace. But there's 2 or 3 from his past that I still don't care for too much, from the 80s mainly. But definitely, when this came out, I liked it the first time. It's one of those albums you need to listen to a few times. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. Along with Ram, it's my favorite Paul McCartney album. And it's probably his most mature work. And like I've said before, the lyrics, they're more serious. It's, he's not doing his thumbs up, Happy Paul thing he usually does. He's really being real. And yeah, so I never get tired of playing this. Chaos and Creation in the Backyard. If you're a Paul McCartney fan and you haven't heard this yet, you must. But like I said, give it a chance. The first time you might think it's kind of boring, but it isn't. And yeah, Memory Almost Full would be the runner-up. So for the 2010s, I think the runner-up would probably be Egypt Station, but McCartney 3 is great and everything else he's done in the last few years. But I think my favorite out of them all would be 2013's New. I also wanted to quickly mention that I love London Town from 1978. I'm just waiting for it to be part of the archive collection, and it's been needing a nice remaster for years and years and years. So, and I mean, he had so many great albums in the 70s, but definitely my 3 favorites would be Ram, Red Rose Speedway, and London Town. And Back to the 8. And Band on the Run. And Venus and Mars.